Yes, villagers. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how most people are drinking a little bit more than they used to and how to tell whether you are an alcoholic. So if you are wondering if there's somebody close to you who might be having a problem, you are in the right place. If you're new to this channel, welcome to our village. If you're a returning villager, welcome as well. So let's get into it. Welcome to Garden of the Mind, where we reduce stress, improve our health and fitness, and improve our financial IQ every episode. We must believe more than we see. COVID is magnifying everything. So you have people now who are home with not a whole lot to do, not a whole lot of outlets, but then there's alcohol. Now, some people are finding that they're drinking a little bit more than they're comfortable with and want to find out whether they are heading to a problem or not. So, we're going to talk about that. Now, as you know, I am a licensed clinical social worker. However, this is not an exhaustive list or a firm determination whether you are an alcoholic or not. It is just merely a little benchmark to let you know whether you might need to look into more information or possibly get some more help. Now, what I've done is I've basically taken information that I see to make the determinations that I am making at this point. Now, social drinking is when you go out, you have 2 or 3 drinks with your friends, you go home and everything is fine. Alcoholism, on the other side, is when your body is dependent on this alcohol. So we're going to show you ways to find out whether you are dependent on alcohol or not. Tip number 1, change in personality. When a person drinks, do they completely change their personality? So do they go from being mild and rational to being angry and belligerent? Those might be an indication that there may be a problem. Or you might have a person who is normally reserved, however, once they have a few drinks, they become sexually promiscuous. These are things and signs that there may be a problem, something to definitely look more into. Tip number 2, does a person experience blackouts? Blackouts are unaccounted points in time. So for example, a person may remember drinking at one location and then they remember being at another location and they don't know exactly what happened in between. Now, most people would assume, well, I know that if I left this place, then I had to get there another way. But the specifics in terms of how a person got there, they may not remember. Or once they get to a destination, they may not exactly remember what took place. Or in the extreme case, they may not remember anything that happened the day before. Tip number 3, does a person have extreme reactions to alcohol? On the mild side, you could have a hangover. However, on the extreme side, a person can have what's known as delirium tremors, which means that they need alcohol in order for them to function. Usually that is followed by their hands shaking and them not being able to control their hands and stopping them from shaking without getting a drink. Tip number 4, does the person binge drink? Meaning they drink to the point of complete intoxication and it doesn't appear that they have the ability to stop. There are people who can social drink and have 2 or 3 drinks and then cut it off, while there are other people who once they start, they can't stop. Those are usually people who have an extreme problem with alcohol. Now, this person may also realize that it takes them more drinks to get them to where it would previously take them a lot less drinks. So what we're talking about is tolerance. After a person continues to drink, they start to develop a tolerance. Alcohol is harmful to your body. The way your body deals with harm is just like it would a cut. So if you had a cut, it would form a scab there, which prevents further injury. If you drink, your body gets used to your drinking at this level and decides to raise your consciousness level so that it takes you more drinks to get to the point where the body does not want to go. Being drunk is not a place that's comfortable for your body. Now, these are 4 tips that I've selected. But remember, being an alcoholic and a social drinker are 2 extremes. However, in the middle, there are all kinds of spectrums of people who are moving up on the level of becoming an alcoholic, so they may be abusing alcohol. Those are the people who would say, I don't have a problem with drinking. I can stop whenever I want to. And they may stop for a time, but then they will get back on and continue. Now, with alcohol, there is a point where you can stop and start at your own free will. However, there can be a point where you can get to where it may not be so easy for you to do so without intervention. Now, COVID has raised a lot of emotions in people. It has raised anxiety. It has raised depression. It has raised a whole host of different emotions in a person. Now, when we face a lot of these feelings that we have, we look for an outlet. And alcohol can be a very quick and easy outlet. But it's very important that we are using it and not abusing it. When you are drinking, think about the reason why you are drinking. Are you drinking because you're bored? Are you drinking because it's an outlet? Are you drinking to mask something else? Those are perhaps some of the more important reasons, is to take a look at what the reason is that you are drinking. And with any diagnosis, what we pay attention to is the behavior. We pay attention to what's known as the frequency and the severity. Now, the frequency includes how often does this behavior happen. So in one sitting, how many drinks does a person have, and how many times do they have those sittings? The intensity can speak to whether this is a mild thing that happens or a very extreme situation that happens. The intensity can speak to what happens when a person does consume alcohol. Are they consuming enough where they can drive their car home responsibly? Or do they drive their car drunk? Do they continue to engage in very risky and dangerous behavior to themselves and others? If you suspect that you or someone else has a problem with alcohol, please get in contact with some of the alcohol hotlines. For example, Alcoholics Anonymous. There can be a trajectory with alcohol that if you're not careful, you can end up at the extreme of alcohol where you have very little control over it. If you have some experiences with alcohol that you think would be helpful for the village, please put that in the comments so we can all benefit from the information and all get better collectively. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you want to know when I post, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, please click on that notification bell so you'll be one of the first people to know exactly what it is that we discussed here. And remember, thoughts are actions, words have power, and actions have consequences. I'll see you for our Wealthy Wednesdays portion, where we'll be talking about more wealthy things that Corona is giving you time for. I'll see you then.